Huge part of my sobriety was that gift of desperation we talked about at the beginning. I had the gift of desperation and I became coachable. I listened to what people told me to do. I saw that people had a life that I wanted, and so I followed what they said to do. And that was a major shift.
So you went to your first meeting really just to kind of appease everybody else. It wasn't
Yeah.
You truly thought that you needed to get sober.
I mean, I didn't even go there like in my own mind, like that first meeting, I was like totally a blur, but it felt good. Like I had no other option. So I kept going and it actually started to work. Like these people I was around had great energy. I respected them a lot. And they told stories that, I was like, whoa, these people are just like me. Mm-hmm. And I made the fatal mistake of I continued to hang around my old friends. And even though they knew I had an issue, people were like, hey, don't drink, don't do drugs. But one night, man, I was just like, people are passing around a joint. I was like, yeah, I got it. Let me hit that, And so I started to smoke weed for the next 9 months and without drinking. And then I got a job in Colorado. And the moment I got there, I started to drink again. And it was like same stuff. Like the first night, it was like, whoa. And that's terrifying. People, even if you go back out and you drink, it doesn't mean the first night you're going to get arrested or whatever. But for me, I flirted with it right away. The disaster. I mean, it was like, whoa, what am I doing? I'm searching for hard drugs. The first night I'm drinking, I was like, this is not a tenable situation. But you lie to yourself, because the next night I went to Chili's with 3 of my friends and had 2 beers, and I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Literally,
I got this.
Forgetting about the night before. But I mean, long story made shorter, I was out of control for the next 7 years. Just like I kept jobs. I worked in the NBA, working in public relations. I worked for the Sixers. I worked for the Hornets. I gave my bosses absolute fits. I had those moments like we talked about where I was a good employee and I was a decent person, but eventually that stuff always caught up to me. And I still was of the belief that it was helping me. I mean, it was big in my relationships with women. I couldn't talk to women without it, really. And I think that was one of the unfortunate parts of when I first stopped drinking, is that I never worked steps. I never got really into a program where I could figure out it's no big deal to talk to people, dude. Like you can do that. Right. But that was the lie, dude. That was the lie. So I was back in Charlotte working for the Hornets, and I was doing some radio, and my life was just in free fall. And then I ended up going back home to Philadelphia for the summer. And because basketball season, season had ended, and I couldn't stop drinking. And I was going to meetings, and now we're in the fall, and I can't stop. And I remember one night I had so much wreckage, I think you can figure out just from my story, but broken relationships, trouble with employers, trouble with the law, just a lot of people out there who were not big fans of me at the time. And a lot of people who were really disappointed because they knew me when I was younger. They saw the light shine bright when I was a kid and even a younger man. And then they just saw darkness now. And it was really sad for a lot of people. And I was going to meetings again, and I asked this guy to be my temporary sponsor. And one night he was like, hey, let's go to a meeting. I'll pick you up. And so he was picking me up. And at this point in time, I'm still not stopped. I'm taking pills or whatever I can do I think I'm fooling the world, Right. But I'm rock bottom, right? Like no money. If I can get to the corner bar with $10 and a couple Klonopin, I think that I've got this great life. I'm out of my mind.
Right.
So he was like, hey, actually, we're not going to go to a meeting. We're going to go to dinner. And he told me his story. And he looked at me knowing everything about me, right? It just was like, hey, I think, my story included going to treatment. You should probably go. You should probably go.
Right.
And I remember, dude, it was like there was a window that God opened up for me like that much. And I feel like it was the last one. And I just like if you're just listening to this, it's like a 6-inch, like whatever, a foot, cracked open. And I just rolled out the other side.
To get a free copy of the 12-step guide that I created for you, click on the link in the description below.
And I was like, okay. And I went home and I told my parents, I was like, hey, I need to go to treatment. They're like, "Woof, like, do you ever?" You know?
Right.
And
Everybody knew. You were the
everybody,
last.
when
You
you're an
were the last one
alcoholic,
to know. Yeah.
there you go, dude. When you're an alcoholic or an addict, a lot of times, or in my experience, you're the last one to know, just like how bad it is and how awful the situation is. So I went to rehab in Pennsylvania, not far from where I grew up, and my life started to change. I mean, I bought in. I needed the facilitation, the recovery, and honestly, plain and simple, I needed walls in between me and the outside world. I just did. I needed that little bit, that buffer where it was like, you can't leave, dude. You know, like, I was one thing that really was, looking back, a huge part of my sobriety was that gift of desperation we talked about at the beginning. I had the gift of desperation and I became coachable. I listened to what people told me to do. I saw that people had a life that I wanted, and so I followed what they said to do. And that was a major shift for me. I had never, I always thought I had it figured out. There was no more figuring it out. And a big example for me about recovery working, I was dating this girl before I got sober. And she was fine, but she was dating me, so there was a problem there with her somewhere.
Right.
And she came to see me in treatment, and we were talking, and it was the second week I was there, and we were in this chapel, and she was showing me pictures on her phone of her daughter, and like a text message popped up from a dude, and I'm like, who's the guy? Let me see the phone. Who is he? And all of a sudden I was that guy before I came in,
Yeah.
And there was like something about this person I didn't like about me, and I had been coached up to this point where I was like, you know what? I remember thinking, like, just kind of pausing, something I'd never done before. Maybe it was a second. It felt like an eternity. And I was just like, I knew the answer. And I was like, hey, I'd like you to leave. And she got up and she left. And I remember feeling so scared and sort of sad, but also like, wow, like I just did something hard without being drunk. Like it was an esteemable act. Like I had actually taken, for the first time on my own accord, like with the help of God, but like I had done something right and it felt good. And if anybody's watching this and you're in a bad relationship, go to Camelback and break up with a toxic person, and I always tell people, I joke around, but I'm also serious. Breaking up with somebody while I was in treatment was the best thing that ever happened to me.
If you got value from this video, if you heard what you needed to hear, be sure to like it. Comment if you've got a question or you have something to say. Subscribe to the channel. Camelback Recovery provides treatment services for people struggling with mental health, mental illness, addiction, alcoholism, whatever it may be. So if you or a loved one is struggling and you need some guidance and you need some direction, reach out to us. Our contact information is down below, or you can go to our website, CamelbackRecovery.com, whether it be detox, inpatient treatment, outpatient treatment, sober living, recovery coaching, sober companion services, whatever it may be. Like I said, we can either help you or make sure that you get sent in the right direction. We help people all over the country, all over the world for that matter. I'll see you on the next video.